So, y'all, when we talk about mental resiliency, we just had technical difficulties.
Yes. Yes.
We had to regroup. We had to
Yes.
use some clear headspace real quick, you know?
Yeah.
So, technical difficulties. So, we're going to do a quick recap
Yes.
on the things that we just talked about. So, first, we'll apologize for the technical difficulties.
Yeah.
I was not aware. No.
Outside of our control. Let's talk about mental resiliency. We kept it pushing.
Yes. But we're back. We're
Yes.
back. So, hopefully, you all are coming back with us. But again, I am Betty.
I'm Miss Broadway.
And we are going to be talking about mental resiliency, awareness, and reflection.
Yes.
So thank you, Doodle Witch, for the t-shirts.
Yes.
Shout out to Miss Danarae for the hairstyle.
Totally not planned, but coincidence. So
I think she was peeping in the window.
great minds. Just great minds. Great minds.
But today we are here to talk to you all about mental health, mental resiliency, awareness, and reflection.
Yes.
So one of the things that we want to talk about, one of the reasons why we are coming on is to break the stigma when it comes to just having some mental, what would you call it? Like just mental awareness, like being, knowing who you are, knowing your space, knowing how to control the thing that's like right here that controls everything in our life, right? So understanding that is very important. Like your mental health is so important.
Yeah, it is. And I've heard the saying, like, it's a checkup from the neck up. So it's, you know,
Then she already trying to be a rapper, y'all.
You know, it was so. But I've heard the saying before, and among the mental health community, and so it's simply just that. And to break the stigma, like Betty was saying, that it's not a negative thing. Usually, it's a negative connotation behind mental health. You're crazy and all this and that. But mental health is simply that, taking care of your mind and your mental state. And so, as we do with our bodies, it's a positive thing with fitness. It's a positive thing with other areas of our life, self-care. But when we talk about mental state or mental health, is and so we're trying to make it more comfortable and have that conversation.
Right. And then the other thing is our experience with it.
Yeah.
So as we are talking about this stuff, please understand that this is our experience.
Yes.
This is from what we've dealt with and the things that we are learning, just going through life in general.
Yes.
So if there are true concerns, please get the help that is necessary.
Absolutely.
We are going to share some resources and stuff at the end, whether you're military or civilian. We're going to share some resources at the end, but please understand this is our experience. We are not the experts, but I think experience is one of those things that help you learn, right?
Absolutely. And as Betty mentioned, we're going to provide both resources for military and civilian, and we both bring it to different perspectives. We call this the military and civilian duo. And Betty has served in the military for
17 years.
Well, she got me because I'm not in service. I'm a civilian, and I've been in Japan for 2 years. It's my first time working for the military, so servicing those who serve. And so yeah.
Did we meet on day 1, day 2 of you being here? She was still sleeping when we met her.
Jet lag. And so yeah. But yeah, it's been a great collaboration ever since, and we both work in supporting agencies. So we a support function for our community. So we're going to bring some fresh perspectives, mostly our personal experiences. Like Betty said, this is strictly our experience. So I just want to give that disclaimer out there. So let's get started with our topics. So we have 3 topics. We're going to talk about the faces, which Betty's going to highlight and take the lead on, and then I'm going to transition and talk about the difference between isolation and solitude, and providing some healthy boundaries around that. And then we're going to close out with mental resiliency tips. So, all right. So, Betty.
So I like to move, y'all. So don't judge me. This is one of those, not necessarily my comfort zone, because I brief a lot, and I'm just like, let me walk and talk to the people I want to get in and know. So I'm like, I'm trying to get to you, but you're not here. So I'm like, let me just keep moving. So don't judge me, y'all. And even if you do, it's okay, because that's part of life. You get judged. It's a matter of when you come to your mental resiliency, this is what happens. People feel judged sometimes. So we'll talk about that just a little bit too. But moving into faces. So one of the things that we want to talk about is, when I mention faces, I'm not telling you that this is something that it's a facade, or you're doing this thing, whereas I want to be this person or that person. No, these are typical roles that you go through every day. So it's not about you being fake, but things that you go through each and every day to get through your life, whatever that life may be. So a couple of the different faces that I want to hit on is the face of a family member. Being a mommy, a wife, a sister, brother. So that particular face, being single, we're going to talk about that just a little bit. Being an airman, whether you're military or not, or also with the civilians that are part of our family. And then also your external family. So a lot of times when we talk family, we just automatically think that we're talking, hey, this is just, you being a mom, dad, whatever the case may be, but family goes well beyond that. And your big sisters, little sisters, our big brothers, little brother, you may be the only child, you may be the oldest of X number of cousins, or whatever the case may be. So family goes beyond just the immediate family that is in the household with you right then and right there, but it goes beyond that. So a little bit about me. So when I'm talking about faces, so my day, my life in about 5-10 minutes, right? So I get up in the morning, I'm mommy, and I got to get my kids ready for work. And that can sometimes be very challenging if they don't want to listen, if y'all have kids that don't like listening. Everybody has that one time. But you get up in the morning and you have to get your kids ready for school, and you got to get them right. So you have to be in a healthy space to make sure that they get started on their day. Because I've recently learned, and I don't want to call her name, but it was one of my friends posted on Facebook that the first 3 minutes and the last 3 minutes of a child's day is where you make the biggest impact. So when I wake up in the morning, how I wake them up and all of that, that's a face that I have to put on, and I got to be aware of what signal I'm sending to them, because that's going to start their day, and it's also going to impact their life, because ultimately they're going to school, and whatever mommy or daddy is saying at that time, it's going to make an impact for their entire day. So that's a face that I have to wear. And then I transition to work. So now I'm an airman. And I'm an airman all day long. In that airman role, I am in a position of management. So leadership is influence. So we won't say a position of leadership, but leadership is influence. So I'm in a position of management. So how I want my person to look at me, my subordinate. And I want to be transparent, but then we also have this thing called military bearing, where you can't be all emotional and stuff. So you can have your bad days, but how do you cope with your bad days? And I don't want to be that person at work in tears because I'm having a bad day. That's not what you wanted to send. So how do you manage that phase? So as an airman, and then as a family member. Oh, wait, back up. I'm sorry, Chip. Because when I transition from work, I got to go home and be a wife. Okay, so my husband is also military. And we go through the same, those first two phases we go through together. And so like day in and day out, we're just like, we just gonna link together. And it's kind of like we move as one. So not to forget my husband, because my husband is very important to me. And he's a key part to our family. So, but just when we're talking about that, like these different faces. So as you can see, I'm like, as I talk about faces, like miss one. Let me get my life together. I love you, Chip, if you're watching. But then also the other thing is being a big sister. I'm a big sister and I'm a little sister. But Keandra, you are a little sister.
So I'm a little sister. I am a little sister. I don't have a big family like Betty, but it's just the two of us. And my sister is married with kids, and so with 4 my lovely nieces and nephews. And so so there's different faces that I have to wear as auntie, or as a professional at work, and also as a daughter, and also as who I am in the community. And so a lot of the works that I do and support, and it's a function of both of our roles. We have similar roles in our profession, and so we provide a lot of service to a lot of people. And so it is very demanding and can sometimes be taxing. And so from the single perspective, it's definitely can be definitely taxing and take a toll for sure. Yeah.
And in those phases, I think one of the things that takes the biggest toll on us is, are we trying to be a perfectionist,
right,
or are we performing?
And I think both of us kind of got that perfectionist piece. And I do want to, I see people coming in too, and I want to encourage that this is an open dialogue. So if you have questions, amens, to feel free to put in the comment section and say hello and share your thoughts as well.
Hi, Miss Amanda. I see you, Miss Amanda. Yes. But in those roles, like, what are we doing? How are we performing? So, you know, are you being a perfectionist? Are you being a performer? And even with those particular words, so we say performer, you think that that's acting or just, you know, not being you. But no, like every day, a person. So the definition for both, I'm gonna give you the definition for both. The definition for a perfectionist, a person who refuses to accept any standard short of perfection. I'm not perfect by any means, but I try.
I know, yeah.
And sometimes just the fact that I constantly try because I don't want anything to fall short, whether it's in any of those roles or those faces that we just talked about, you start to fall short, and you fall short in an area that means a lot, which is your mental resiliency. Because I'm trying to be mommy, I'm trying to be the airman, I'm trying to be a supervisor, I'm trying to be a subordinate, I'm trying to make sure I understand my peers, I'm trying to make sure that just like all of these different things. I'm trying to be a big sister, a little sister, how to make sure that I'm still reaching back to my family that's way back in Georgia, or like keeping in contact with the friends from around the world, and then even and with
then,
you.
And then it's very easy to fall into the other definition, which is the performer piece, right? Right. So because you have so much going on, your mental state, you know, to keep up with being the perfectionist and keep it going, you know, you fall into that space of being a performer.
And the definition that we pull for performer is a person when they are judged by how well they're doing their job, right? So if you're a mom, you want to be the best mom. I would love to have the best mom of the world. Trophy and title, but I mean, my kids say it, and that's the most important thing to me is am I the best mom for them? But you can't sit here and judge your life off of, you know, this mom can do her daughter's hair every day, and she has these little cute ballerina stuff on. Emily was in dance, and I tell you, the dance mom is whew. But imagine that with a full-time job, and you're trying to make sure all of the pieces in your job line up. All of the stuff that you've done is documented. Nothing falls short. And then also trying to keep in touch with your family. Like,
it's a lot.
Mom and Dad call you all the time.
It's a lot. And it's one thing, you know, just again to tack on the single piece. And when I speak single, it's not just someone who's just who is unmarried. You can be also married and have a single experience as a spouse who has another spouse who is active duty and deployed. And so you live that single life experience. And so a lot of times it can be overwhelming to continue to keep the faces on and try to juggle those different things, especially if you are a parent or if you have commitment and obligations to family members and things like that. So we really want to just dive into how that really impacts our mental state and state of mind, and it pushes us into the perfectionist or the performer. But what key thing with mental health is taking the time to process where you are, taking the time to really reflect. And so our topics, you know, discussions around awareness and reflection, and so it's really honing in on that and creating some boundaries around it.
And I think another thing when we talk about singles is, you know, that those moments that you go through life and something happens and you feel like you're just there all by yourself. So for example, for me, and I think number 4 was the one that kind of put me in the space where I thought that I was all by myself. So a little bit about me. I'm a mom of twins, so I got 2 beautiful kids. But in the midst of that, we tried to get pregnant for 5 years before we had our first child or our first pregnancy. And so with that one, like, we've had 4 miscarriages. So the first 2, I had an amazing support team. I had people that were going through it with me, which, I mean, nobody want to go through a miscarriage with someone because that means that they're going through one as well. But my 4th miscarriage, I had to do it here in Japan. And as I went through that, I felt like at that point I was the only person that was going through it, so I felt singled out. You know what I mean? So when we're talking single, it's not just a matter that you're not married. It's not a status. It's more so it can be a status, it can be an experience, it can be what you're going through. Absolutely. So when we're talking single, just understand that when we're talking mental resiliency at all times, it's those different faces. So how do we deal with those faces? And are you looking at being that perfectionist where you feel like everything has to be right? Because that fourth one, that's where I was like, oh my goodness. Like, so my fourth miscarriage, it was the day that I was supposed to be testing for a senior NCO, so E7 in the Air Force, which is Master Sergeant. So I was getting ready to test for that. My husband was getting ready to test, so we've been doing all of this studying and stuff. My kids are in school, so I'm trying to put on a good face for my kids. I'm trying to support my husband. I'm trying to be prepared for myself. And I'm like, you know what? I got to go and take this test. But I'm also going through a miscarriage. And I'm like, let me take the test. And the doctor had to be like, pause. So having a support group that tells me to calm down just a little bit, and then I had a first sergeant. So key roles within your support group, knowing who to talk to or when to talk to them. So I had a first sergeant was like, girl, you better get yourself together. Like, we are not sending you in that testing room. And he had to make phone calls on my behalf. So sometimes when you're single, knowing those resources.
Because I'm a firm believer that a person is only as good as their support system, whether you are married or single. But without your support system, even your kids are somewhat of your support system in a sense, because they brighten up your day, or they're your reason for living, type of thing. And so you are as good as your support system, and so it's very good that you have one and that you establish one. And usually our support system are with people that are accountability partners and and people that we trust. And so again, speaking with mental resiliency is definitely making sure you have that support system to get through those type of things.
Right. And that support system, as we were talking about it, like there's a lot of similarities that we've already talked about, and some of the differences that we've dealt with. Like for her, like her support system. I love mom and dad, so hi mom and dad whenever y'all see this. But mom and dad is one of her strongest support system, and they're always talking to her, and they keep her balanced.
I would go, for lack of a better word for what we're talking about, but I would go, without having that day-to-day check-in.
But having that support system helps with understanding if a person is in isolation or solitude, which is something else that we also have to worry about. So.
Absolutely. So I do. So diving in solitude and isolation, most of the times they're overlapped. Like people bleed them together, but they're actually separate. So when we talk about isolation, is something that is a situation that's beyond your control, that you find yourself in. And the definition for it is the process or fact of isolating or being isolated. And then when we talk about solitude is usually a moment or a place where you try to regroup, recharge, a moment of reflection. And so it's more so of a positive reflection of that. And being an introvert, again, with introverts out there, we are sometimes selectively social, so we decide selectively when we want to be social and when not. Homegirl has to get me out of the house sometimes. Oh, yes, my introvert guy.
She let it be known.
Yes. And so it's funny because it has the definitions on here. So a person who prefers to be alone, or one who must recharge in solitude after socializing. So yes, that's me. And it says, no, I'm not shy. I'm just an introvert. And so, but it's for me, it's something that is definitely a part of my personality, and I do like to recharge and be alone, especially because of how much I give out and do in my day-to-day role. And so with that, I have found myself after coming to Japan, because I'm such an introvert and being new to so many things, not only just the culture of Japan, new to the military culture, all the lovely acronyms, and and so really learning, and also being a new job. So it means 3 layers of just different cultures trying to process and try to fit into. And everyone knows when you start a new job, the first year is usually, you got to prove yourself, prove your worth and those type of things. So it's very work driven, but I took away a lot of time to for my personal time, for myself. And so what I would do is when I get home, I would have my me time, but then also became a pattern where I began to realize that I'm becoming more isolated. And because I wasn't familiar with the type of community that the military culture is, which is mostly family oriented, it was something I had to get used to, figure out, how do I have, build friends with married friends, who was already married, and, and because I'm used to stateside having my single friends, single girlfriends, and all that type of thing. And so it did spin me into a place of depression. And also with me being, having a counselor background, I try to do it all myself. I said, no, I can reflect. I can do this on my own.
You got all of the tools.
I know. I got all the tools. And so, but it wasn't until a year and some change, that I was here last October that I actually went for the first time to get therapy. And it was a struggle. I know, I'm sorry, therapist. I put her probably through some things, but it was hard for me to receive help. And also feeling that, I didn't have a form of connection, like to totally understand what I was going through, and also being someone that has the background to really feel like, okay, well, what other solutions could I have? But I will say going to therapy did really help me process and see things I didn't see from a different perspective. Although, yes, I may be in tune with myself and self-awareness, but still there was still some things that I couldn't see myself, and it takes someone else, an accountability partner or a therapist, to really help you really process some things you can't see about yourself. And that's one key thing about most resiliency is self-awareness. And you can't just be self-aware on your own. Yeah. You have to have someone else kind of give you perspective. And that's one thing I really appreciate about our friendship, is that we give each other candid and objective feedback. It's not always going to be just because you're my friend and agree with me. So, but also with the same thing with therapists.
You should not be thinking alike all the time. If that's a problem, somebody need to lead a relationship. But
right.
I like my relationship.
I like my relationship too. And we love each other. We love each other for who each other are individually. And so we want to see the best out of each other. And so for the same with your therapist, they're going to challenge you in that area and to really hone in and just be ready. Be ready to just sit with it. It's tough because it's tough to hear some things about yourself and to really talk about those deep-rooted things, those invisible scars, as we call it, to really regurgitate those things and also be vulnerable in front of somebody that you don't know.
Right. And I think another thing with therapists is it helps you with understanding as yourself, like understanding if you're in a state of isolation or if you're in a state of solitude. So and I think we might have the same therapist.
Yeah,
we don't call it name.
Yeah.
But, but the therapists help you with identifying the root cause of things. So a lot of times we look at stuff as surface. So especially like if you're the perfectionist and you've messed up somewhere and you're like, and so you're frustrated and you're upset, and sometimes it can bring anger and some depression and stuff because you're beating yourself up because you want everything to be right.
Yes.
You don't want anything to fall short.
Yeah.
But when you understand why you feel that way, because my therapist was like, let's first address the thought. And then what is the feeling? So from the feeling and the thought, what is the action that is being taken? So understanding those things kind of help with whether or not you're in a state of solitude or if you're in a state of isolation, and how to get you from a state of isolation to the state of solitude.
Absolutely.
So you can still be that performer in all of those different roles and stuff that you got to play. Because at the end of the day, like, nobody's perfect.
No one's perfect. And to share a little bit about my session too, was similar, where she went into the root cause of it. And I mentioned about all the different ways I didn't feel like I fit in, and like basically felt like an outsider, being a civilian, being single, and also the nature of my role, that I am the only support function for my division that I work for here in the Pacific. And so I didn't have, and I feel like I didn't have anyone to reach out to, and my direct supervisor is in senior leadership. So she's like, it sounds like you feel like you're an outsider. I said, yes, that's what I'm saying. And so, and she said, well, how about we change the thought of it being, you're still trying to find your way how to fit in. I was like, okay, tell me more. And so, and from that perspective, it did help me to see that, because she talked about my idea of support. And so my idea of support was having my best friends. Hey, Justine, I see you just chimed in. Ironically, yes. Having my best friends, having my, my family, that's something that I was used to stateside, and having my little group. And so, and having that connection. And also my personality is separating work from my personal life. And what I learned quickly when I came a part of the military culture is that it is all together as a community. So you work together, you live together on the same area, same space. So all of that is in one. So I had to get used to being vulnerable in that space. Hey, Justina, thank you for the shout out. And so when she had me to tackle, like, okay, so you're comparing that from your previous experience to now, but how about you venture to think about the fact that maybe your support system looks differently. May not just be as the way you had before. So do you have anyone you talk to on a regular basis? I always stop at Betty's office, and at the time it was in the early phase, it was like colleagues, but I felt safe there. I felt comfortable there. She said, okay, so that's one. So we start going down a list, and did I know I had at least 5 people that I at least check in with, but there was at work. There was people that I connect with at work. And so for me, I had to break the barrier and being open to forging those connections, even if it's a work base.
She allowed me to come to her house.
I know. And it's so funny when I told her the first time she came, I said, I just want you to know you're special. Because I don't let anybody up in my house. And so, but it's my personality. I still got to work with my therapist about those issues and why I got that going on. Anyway.
You don't need a lot of friends.
You don't need a lot of friends. But that helping me channel through that and to realize that, hey, the issue really is that you're actually not an outsider. You actually have people that check in on you, that reach out to you. It's just not in the way that you're used to. It's coming from a different venue, which is the workplace. And another thing they asked me was, I asked, if something gets pretty serious, who would reach out to? They was like, yeah, your immediate supervisor, because that's how they do it in the military. And I was like, my immediate supervisor is senior leadership. So I was having a breakdown. She was like, okay. She was like, but we will also start with the people that you feel connected to the most. So Betty was on that list that's here. Of course, family back stateside, but those for immediate support, And so it really helped me to process things. And so I can't stress enough how important therapy is, because it helps you see things from a different perspective. And that's one thing I really, really, really appreciated about going to my therapy session.
And just because you go to therapy, it doesn't mean that you're crazy and stuff. Like that's a stigma that we have the tendency to put on ourselves. Like we got therapy, we're crazy. No, honey, no. You're getting the help that you need to make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yes,
and self-care is not selfish.
It's not selfish, and is I call it mental fitness by going to. I think call it mental fitness. Just like we go to the gym to work out, going to therapy is that mental fitness, and not just therapy, but also like we talk about, journaling and reflecting. That is mental fitness, where you are processing your emotions. And I think we move such in a fast-paced society that we don't have time to really reflect, and that goes back into that solitude piece, where to really maximize on that and really. Maximize on that and be aggressive about your self-care. That's like Betty just said, like self-care isn't selfish.
Yeah. And I mean, if you're not good, let's be honest, when we go back to those faces, are you good for anybody? Right? So if you're not good, you can't expect for anybody to be good around you, or your space to be perfect, like the perfectionist was think. No, you have to be good for yourself. So when you do go and help someone else, especially in our role, in all of our roles, when we understand that we can take care of ourselves, when we understand how to take care of ourselves, then we can go out and we can truly be the need of the community, or the need for the community, or the person that the community wants to talk to, or the mom that your daughter wants to talk to. Right. I don't want to be the mom that's like, and I'm not going to talk to my mom about this because she's going to flip out. No, I want, you have to be the person that can take that deep breath. Like, we talk about journaling, but taking that deep breath. That was one of the exercises that the therapist gave me. She was like, just take a deep breath. So make your belly button touch your spine. So breathe all the way in, think about that. And then kind of breathe out. Because a lot of times when we take a deep breath, we do it right here. So go a little bit deeper. So make your belly button touch your spine, and then kind of move forward from there. But then also just continuing on with that, like, there's so many different things that you can do. So, like, some of the MRTs that we have, which is the mental resiliency tips, some of the things that you can do. So we talked about the journaling already. Keeping a daily activity of the things that is going on in your life, that is so important. Now, by no means am I a runner, but if I get stressed out, the first thing I want to do is go run, because I have my headspace. I put my headset in, and I use app Nike Run. Yes, I use Nike Run. They have this "Don't Want to Run." So if y'all hear this and y'all see me on base and I'm running around and I'm talking to myself or I'm screaming or something, it's the coach in my ear that's like, just get it out, because you don't want to run. But at the end of that run, I feel amazing.
And when Betty showed me about this app, and they have like a motivational like speaking and like crunk music. I'm sorry, I'm dating myself by saying crunk, but it has like the real hot beats in there, where it's really a motivational speaker speaking to you as you run, which is really cool. And for me too, exercise has become my stress management method, where I'm able to really. Now, I'm a person who's not a whole gym person either. I haven't been, but I have become one, because it is something that really does. After I work out, I feel more relieved, relaxed, like a whole weight has been lifted off, and I get my aggression out when I'm running. Like, I'm on that elliptical, and I got my crunk music on, and I just go in my zone. And it's funny, I have had colleagues come to me and say, "Girl, you look so serious when you are on that thing, and you didn't even see me." I said, "Girl, I'll be focused. I don't see nobody when I'm working out." And so so that is one tip, is definitely exercise. Even if you like to do yoga or stretch, just really set up that time and be aggressive with it. And this lovely thing right here, this thing right here, has really helped me out, especially with someone who doesn't have the fortune of a lot of reminders or people to tell me, do this, do that. My Fitbit has been something that I set alarms on it to remember to go actually take my 15-minute breaks doing work. Now, I know I'm not the only one who don't take the 15-minute breaks doing work, let alone sometimes my lunch break.
Why are you looking at me though? Don't be telling my business on camera.
Let alone my lunch break. And so I know, because we both be working through our lunch break, and we both be working late. So having those things set, is a reminder. Say, okay, you need to go, and I actually go. And fortunately, that we do have a track on base where I can take my 15-minute break and put on my headphones and walk around the track for that 15 minutes, which does help me decompress and relieve my stress for the day, especially if I have some crazy situation that came up. If I just be aggressive about taking that 15 minutes, it really does help.
So I found 2 other exercises
that
I really, really like, and it is so amazing. So I like to dance.
Oh yes, we both.
So there's this dance fitness class that is to the dance that I like, to the music that I like, and so we go in and we dance. So shout out to Kristen Menard, because she's my dance teacher, and I love going to her class. The other one was boxing. Now, Orlando Bud, if you're watching this, I still love you. But I was working, so one of my subordinates was a physical trainer, and he put me on to boxing. And so with the boxing, he was like, "Hey, Sarah J, let's go to the gym. Bring your gym clothes in. Let's go to the gym." So I'm thinking we're gonna go to the gym together. Just do like this unit workout or whatever. So you get in the gym, and he don't have on his gym clothes. He's doing suited up, like all this pad and stuff. And so he was like, "All right, you gonna do this?" And he put me on the treadmill. I was like, "Oh my goodness, like this thing is all the way up to like the highest level of like whatever the elevation is, right?" So we did that, and then he brought me in to the other side of the gym, and he made me do some sit-ups and some push-ups and stuff. And I was really not liking life right now, and I wasn't liking him. But then we did the boxing, and we just sat there, and he told me which way to punch and knee and all of that stuff, and I I mean, I got so much out, and it's not that I'm I'm not an angry person, but when you have so much stress going on, it was a way that it was a way for me to relieve it all, and I put it all in his little hands, and or you know how little hands, big, but I put it all in his hand, and he allowed me to do like the little knee punches or kicks or whatever thing, and it was so relaxing. So those two, and Kia was also another one that did dance fitness. So it's something that goes on, and it was amazing.
I definitely want to do boxing, just not fight nobody, but the punch in the bag, because I definitely can see that, especially being an internalizer, because I internalize my emotions a lot, suppress them a lot, and I can see how using that or punching some bags, having some faces on those bags, could really help a sister out. So, sorry, therapist. I wasn't ready for that. Sorry, therapist. I digress. Don't write me up on this. Goodness. But yes. So those are some two tips. So 2 tips is definitely exercise, as well as journaling, self-reflection, being aggressive about your moment of solitude, also creating healthy boundaries around that so it doesn't fall into isolation, by having an accountability partner or support system. Also reminders on your watch, whether it's your phone, whether it's your Fitbit or Apple Watch, setting those reminders to be aggressive about it. And I know in our day-to-day, it's very hard to sit down and actually sit and journal. Like, that's hard to do for anybody, including myself, who really loves to write. But when you...
She's an author. I'm just saying.
Thank you. And, but really setting those alarms really do help to really just, at least for 5 minutes or at least for a couple of minutes, to really process your emotions, because it really, what mental health is all about, or one of our mental sicknesses are all about, is compression and suppression, and not really exercising it out.
Right. And as you notice, as we talked about mental health, we never talked about any particular things, right? Because it's not just about depression, it's not just talking about bipolarism, it's not just talking about anxiety, but it's anything that helps you with getting you back to the performer that you need to be for yourself and for your family. That's big family. So so for yourself and your family. But as you talk about these reminders and the calendar and stuff, what about the different apps and stuff that you use?
So apps, so I use the Calm app. That is one app that I use. And I also use my Bible app, and as the daily affirmations that pops up like verse of the day. Also, there's other cool apps too that I haven't used myself, but other people have. So the Headspace app, I heard that's good. The Journey app, where they actually have it's a journal of gratitude app called Journey in the App Store, or on the what's the Google version? Android version.
I only have the app.
Google Play.
Okay.
Google Play. And so there's other one called Sam app, and Happify app, and PTSD Coach. So tons of things. Another one called Fabulous, where they actually have an interactive virtual therapist, if you will. That one does cost, but it checks in with you and follows up with you, type of thing. So there's so many resources out there, so many things available. And as far as put my work hat on, this is for everybody, because every organization, especially in the States, should have it. And on any military basis, is accessibility services. So accessibility services is not just for individuals with disabilities that are physical, but also those that are invisible. So whether it's a mental disability or a learning disability, accessibility services is available as well. If you need reasonable accommodations to do your job, even someone who may be colorblind, or those type of things, people don't even think about that. It applies to them, and those services are available. So definitely use those services, as well as the employee assistance program. Right. That includes free counseling. Now that is, I know it's very common in the civilian organization, is the employee assistance program, but the standard across the board, whether you're military or civilian, is accessibility services.
Right. Yeah. And then a couple of apps that she didn't really touch on just yet, but YouTube. Just type in.
Oh yes, yes.
Happy vibrations, I think is what it's called. Or how to get a positive mental state, or you can just do calming apps or any of that stuff. Like YouTube is a really good one.
Yes.
I use Amazon Music, so I like Feelers Motivation, those types of things. Just having my space right at the beginning of the morning. So Amazon Music, finding those songs or those things that's out there, whether it's white noise or whatever the case may be. You can find a lot of stuff on Amazon Music and Spotify.
I was about to say, I'm a Spotify girl, and atmospheric calm. Just type that in the search box. Atmospheric calm is with the white noise and the music with it too, and it's really relaxing too. It's like when you walk into a massage spa, that type of music on the daily. So so definitely utilize your Spotify music apps, to create your playlists, your mental health playlists,
and these are things like these are your daily tips that you can use. But by all means, now when you feel like you've gotten to this point, like in my case, whereas I've been using these daily tips and I've been using all these things, but these things are still going on. There's nothing wrong with seeking help from other agencies. So a couple of the ones that is specific to the military that I want to talk about, the Behavioral Health Optimization Program, we call it BHOP. That's the therapist that I went to see, and it worked out amazing because she helped me get to the root cause of what was going on. And she's helping me with breaking that cycle of depression and anxiety. So the BHOP is a
I do want to add to that. I also went to BHOP too, so those who are civilians, BHOP is available for you too. Okay. Yeah.
You have mental health, and I don't know what they will call it for civilians.
I'm sorry, they made it break you.
But mental health. So you'll have counselors where you can go and you can talk to. Also for the military, we have the Military Family Life Consultant, which is MFLAC. That's an opportunity for you to get to know. For their services, they rotate in and out so you can get comfortable with being uncomfortable in a sense. So being able to talk to people, so being comfortable. Chaplain or your pastor or somewhere in the church or whatever your faith is, it doesn't necessarily have to be. So the thing about the chaplains on base, it's not based on religion. It's based on someone that can help you with understanding your faith, your values, and your goals. And so that person helps you with understanding who you are and how to move forward. And you can continue to go back to them. So when we say chaplain and pastor and stuff like that, while they may be associated with a religion mostly, that doesn't mean when you go and get assistance from them that they're going to talk to you about whatever that set religion is. So again, it's about faith.
And can you shed light to like those services too that also are available to civilians, for spouses,
Yes. So if you have access to base, a lot of these services are available to most people that have the access to base. But it is something that's pretty specific to the military community when I say this. So you have to be able to get on military. You have to have access to the medical group to be able to use these services. So and then we have the Military One Source. So the Military One Source is some stuff that is online, and they have a lot of additional information that is there for you. Whether it's like a new parent support program, if you're the one that's going through being a new parent and you think that you're in it by yourself, trust and believe you are not. But the new parent support program can help you out if you're dealing with fertility and all that stuff. Like you can find a lot of these things online.
On one source. And also for those who are experiencing really severe situations, we have Family Advocacy for and it's open to both military and civilians, where their focus is on providing support for individuals impacted by domestic violence. And then also we have SHARP, which is help me with the acronym, Betty.
So we have a couple of different things there. So Army, we call it SHARP. Well, in the Army, they call it SHARP, which is Sexual Harassment and Assault Response Program. In the Air Force, you'll hear SAPR or SARC, which is the Sexual assault response program or sexual assault response coordinator, and then with sexual harassment, you'll come over to the equal opportunity, which is our role. But so if you're dealing with things like that, and the same thing with discrimination as well. Whether it's based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, age, disability, genetic information, or reprisal. So another resource to have.
So tons of resources available. And these resources, again, it's not just tailored to the military, but all organizations where for equal opportunity is the same thing in every organization. And as well as there are other resources available for sexual assault as well as domestic violence as well. Right. So again, we're going to be posting these things up. And also, it is Suicide Awareness and Prevention Month. And Betty, I like what you said earlier this week about how the perception of this observance that a lot of people have of it. You can share a little bit about the meaning of this observance.
So when we're talking suicide awareness or suicide prevention, a lot of times you think that that's sad, right? But we're talking prevention. So in the prevention state, the goal is to keep you in your happy space. So it's not an opportunity for us to just talk about suicide as a whole, which a lot of people go through it and you don't even know it, like the ideations and the thoughts and whether or not they have plans, like all of those different things, people go through it, and we want to know about that. But when we talk about suicide prevention, we're trying to keep you in a happy space or in a healthy space. So that mental resiliency is where we're talking. We're not just talking, should we go and take everything out of somebody's house? No, we wanted to make sure that people are aware of the resources, like the ones that we just gave you. But you know what? I think with all of the resources, all of the faces, all of those different things, the most important thing that you have to do is being honest with yourself. And if you're seeking help, you got to be honest with somebody else.
Absolutely. So that was another tip. One of the closing tips that we had too was when you need help, you have to be open and vulnerable. And I talked about my challenge with my therapist about being open and vulnerable. And being someone who is a natural introvert and who internalizes her emotions and also have a counseling background, that was also a challenge of receiving help as well. And so, but I had to communicate. I had to seek the help. And yes, at that time, I was referred to counseling, but I had to still decide to go, So making that decision to actually go and actually seek help and be open and vulnerable really opens you up for help. And a lot of times I'm a person who may not initiate conversations when it concerns personal things. And because I'm an introvert, and so it may take Betty like, hey, Keandra, what's going on, for me to say something. But then also me opening up and say, hey, Betty, well, this is XYZ, this is what's going on. So me coming out of my comfort zone, challenging myself to do something that's outside the norm of the familiar that I'm used to really receive and get help. And so you want to go into our challenger. Well, you had something. Look like you had something to say.
Well, yeah, because I was gonna say, we also talked about the fact of when you're being when someone's stopping to say hi to you, you have to have that foundation of trust, right? Yeah. So the trust has to be there, and I know we've had a moment, whereas when I needed that assistance and I just needed somebody to reach out to and I had a lot on my mind. The first person that popped up was her, because one, she's the person that I built the foundation of trust with, and so she's on my mind. But I ended up going over and I'm in her office and I'm spinning in her chair and tears is like rolling down my face, and I'm like, I can't believe that I'm doing this. But I'm a counselor talking to a counselor, but I'm also talking to a friend, a colleague, and all of that, and it's someone that's going to give me a perspective. So when we talk about the challenge, and that foundation of trust, the start is being honest.
Absolutely.
So as we move forward through this week, well, starting tomorrow, because it starts on Sunday, a challenge that I would like to present to a lot of people is when someone tell you, hey, how you doing? We typically say it
and keep going.
Right? And sometimes we don't even respond to the question, right? We don't respond to the answer. Or we ask that question, we don't pause, we just be like, it's so normal for us to just be like, hey, how you doing? Like good, bye. Or it's like a greeting or a norm or something like that. So my challenge for you, the very next time someone asks you, hey, how are you doing? Or if you ask someone, hey, how are you doing? Pause. Just take a break. Turn around, look them in their face and say, hey, how are you doing? And just wait. Now for that other person, if they're asking you, how are you doing? Be honest.
Be honest. And even if it's and be honest, and even if it's something that, you probably feel uncomfortable with because you're not used to it, you need to keep going, people going back and forth, but say, I'm doing good, but thank you for asking, or do you got time? Because, you could really have a lot going on, but don't feel like in that moment it's like enough time to really talk about what you're going through, but say, hey, if you got time, can we meet for lunch?
Or even, hey, I'm not having the best day, but thanks for asking, and continue on. So, because you may not have that foundation of trust that you would want. So if you don't have that trust, we're not telling you to go out there and spill your beans.
Right, please
tell your business to
only
everybody.
With trust, only those who are trustworthy of that type of access.
Yes. But, just go and be honest. How are you doing today? Well, today it was kind of stressful, like this morning, because we're trying to get everything set up, and
this is our
computer
second
don't want to work, and we start live.
Every device that we have, we have like 5 devices up. We're going to take a picture of this. We have like 5 devices up, 2 laptops, 3 iPhones, and like we only got 2 now that's working, and we have everything charged up too.
It's just
everything's
one
plugged
working.
up. Oh yeah, that's right. There's only one working now. We have everything plugged up too, so we set. we ready. And so it's like, speaking of resiliency, boy, I can tell you, we not gonna shut it down. But
it's okay for you to have those moments that is not good. But if somebody's asking you, especially if you want to start a relationship, don't start off in a lie. So I like to tell people, you know what? Don't make me lie to you.
Yes.
I'll talk to you later.
I'll find some time, get on your calendar, we can talk. Yes. Yeah, and I also learned too, like even just with. We talked about isolation, and if we see somebody that's isolated. So another challenge is if you see someone that appears to be off to themselves, and it can be confused with those introverts who just naturally likes to be a loner. I'm one, but to just check in with them to say, hey, what's going on, or just kind of get a feel for them. And if you get the feel that the person not wanting to respond, that's okay. But still constantly check up with them, whether it's an email or just when you're passing by or in their office or passing by and you see them somewhere, or send them a text, just simple things. And it doesn't have to be overdoing it or whole lengthy messages. It can just be hey, hope your day is going well, even if it's not a question.
Well, my clips is like 4 seconds when I see you.
Yeah, yes. She has the shortest auto clips ever. And I was like, what? She can say in 2 seconds, and she says a lot, which is amazing. But yes, so definitely, provide that opportunity, because like I had an example of recently, I had someone come in my office, and when I'm in my office and working on especially on my computer, don't be disrespectful. Don't be disrespectful.
I'm not being disrespectful, but I know the moment.
So I'm usually in my zone. So I'm like, da 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 da. So when someone comes, you're not gonna put on my face, hey, how can I help you? But although I'm like kind of still in my mode, and the person was like, hey, I'm not sure when this next door opens up, this next office opens up. You know what time? I said, I'm not sure. Still being pleasant. And then she was like, okay, well, I'm new here. I wasn't sure when it opened. And I said, yeah, I'm so sorry. I wish I knew. And then she left. And then after a moment, I said, oh, shoot, you know what? I didn't give her my name. I didn't get her name. And so I grabbed my business card, and she was still in the hallway. And I said, hey, I'm so sorry. My name is Keandra. And here's my business card. I work for the university of the base, and so I'm not really familiar with the office next door. And so I said, you said you knew. Are you new to the military? You're airman? And they was like, no, I'm actually new to U.S.A. And so I said, oh, okay. And it's like, but no, there's like but she's like, but I've been a part of the military for a while, So I said, okay, well, good. Well, I just at least want to connect with you. I'm sorry to give you my name at first. So things like that, just really making it quick, making it something intentional where you are trying to show that. Because I thought it to myself, if I was someone who was new, I know I had the experience of being new. And so if someone was just blowing me off or I felt blown off, you know, I would feel even much more of an in a, you know, an isolated situation. And so really having that person taking the extra step to want to connect and at least give me their business card if I actually need help would have meant the world to me. So having that self-reflection of the way that I would like to be treated, as Betty talked about earlier, and just even just with check-ins, like although I'm a person who doesn't naturally initiate conversations about my personal challenges or even accomplishments, but me being intentional, I'm challenging myself to check in with family, to check in, send messages with my friends, to really be the initiator as well, you know. And so challenge yourself to be honest, and challenge yourself to check in, and ask someone and pause and say how you're doing, and also be intentional about reaching out.
Right. And then, so one of the things that she's gonna check in tonight is the Air Force Ball.
Woo! Yes.
So her first one, you said 2 years that you've been here, so I know you've seen 2 because you was here last year.
Yes, I'm here 2 years.
So she's gonna go to her Air Force Ball. We're gonna make sure that she's not in isolation. But,
yes, I know, and to be all honest and transparent, I was a little resistant.
But I gave her 2 months.
Yes, she did. 2 months
as I came back.
So I processed in my introverted mind. This is gonna be the day I'm gonna be social. My best friend said, "Yay, thank you, Justina." and I was also during that conversation when she invited me. You know, I was transparent with her about my reservations initially, about the reason why I didn't want to go at first, and so, but she was like, "But no, this and that, and so then I said, you know what, I'm gonna get outside of my comfort zone. Although I have these parameters, thinking about what my therapist talked to me about, I'm gonna get outside of that and just go anyway." So.
Justina, I'm trying. She kind of backed up on me for one event, so I was like, "Well, we got Air Force Ball, so I'm gonna celebrate there."
Right now.
I'm just.
I'm mad y'all co-signing.
I see you.
Yes. And she sent a message earlier. I want to make sure that we go back to it. Now we're on the sideway view, so we can't really see right now, but we're gonna be. You know what? We're going to turn sideways. And so I'm loving this conversation. I often think about the barriers that folks have in assessing therapy if they do not have an employer insurance or if their insurance doesn't cover it. That's good. I'm going to address that. I think that it is one of the barriers that contribute to the stigma that African Americans don't seek out counseling, yes. And any recommendations for those who have insurance barriers or counseling with the cost, which is a great question. I don't know if it's bear with us with these sideways. So Betty, tell me when you just sit there and tell me when it goes back sideways. But you can also address her while I'm getting this together.
So I don't know which ones are free. Going to church, that's typically, or seeking assistance from a pastor, is one of the things that helps with. She's just moving the phone.
I'm sorry.
Place.
Here we go. No, it still didn't do it. Bear with us. Resiliency. Resiliency, guys. Resiliency.
I'm still sideways. I don't know if you can flip it.
Yeah. Do you know how to flip it? Because I can't.
No.
Yeah.
Well, let's just come here. Come on over.
Okay. All right.
It says you can't rotate your phone while recording. So this is interesting.
That is doing this, but
because it did it while we were recording.
Hey, we're
Resiliency.
I know. Up and close the person.
Okay. So what are some resources that will be there for her? That are free.
All right. So yes, 2 things. So when we talk about the accessibility or insurance barriers, yes, that is one common thing among low-income groups that, as far as accessibility is concerned. And so, of course, we talked about day-to-day topics, day-to-day things that you can do. But as far as services, usually those type of services are available through our community centers and things like that. But really with jobs or with the free insurance, that is a good question. I will actually do my research on those who don't have insurance or don't have insurance or have, what was the other one? Low income. And usually with employee assistance program, that is something that is normally standard with organizations. That is something that is a benefit. But again, definitely your community is the next best thing, which is what we talked about with churches and with the community centers to provide support groups. But yes, we will do our research. That's a challenge for us. So we will definitely look and see like other resources if you don't have insurance or cannot afford it. What are other resources outside of the community or the church that are available?
And we'll make sure to put it in the comment when we find the information. The way we know we're trying over here, we're trying hard. Like, it's told us that it's not supposed to rotate while we're recording.
Right, and it's rotating on its own.
Yeah. But we will, so Justina, what we will do, we'll do our research and we'll post it in the comments below so that way you'll have the response to that as much as possible, or what we can find. Because I will hope that there are some free resources within the community, but I can't speak to that specifically.
Yeah, and in reading your message, I like the recommendation that you all have provided earlier, even for folks who don't have access to therapy. Thanks. Right. Yeah, so yes, the day-to-day things too, to really help jumpstart that, because I think before even getting to the point of actually seeking therapy or getting help or having accessibility to it is utilizing the day-to-day things that we do have access to, whether it's
the apps
or journaling, especially the technology out there. You know, like I mentioned with the app, there is an app called Faceless. It's an interactive therapist app. And they have lots similar ones like it, whereas I believe it's like $50 a year. And so those type of things too, and just people just having the information to know what these resources are that's available to them. And I think with technology, people have become more progressive in making more resources available. So that is one, is that particular app, or those similar apps like that, where you can at least start the process of engaging in what we call mental fitness, where we're actually getting the help that we need to support our mental health. And so yeah.
And all of the tips that we've provided.
Yes, especially
I know
yes, absolutely.
My husband is one. He used the Nike Run app and the coaches and stuff that's on the Nike Run app to kind of help him with kind of clearing his space, or like he takes his moment to himself, or whatever the case may be. Like he'll remove himself from the family just for a quick 4 or 5 minutes, or whatever the case may be, and take his deep breaths, and then he'll come back. So some guys out there, they are exercising some of the things that we were talking about, but it's also really good for them to be able to understand that, hey, you know, these tips that we're given is not specific to any sex, but it's for a person to be able to use to kind of help with just different things. Like he has journals and stuff, so but I'm a counselor by nature, so I provide a lot of this stuff, so it benefits.
Like you gonna write today. You gonna write today, sir.
We actually, matter of fact, we had a conversation last night about the vision boards, because he had told me what his goal was before we got married, and I was like, so where are you? And I know that he had made his goal. So last night we had a conversation about doing a vision board for the entire family. So my kids are 6 and they'll do their vision boards as well. So making it a family activity is another way to kind of get everybody on board with it, versus just doing it individually. So you'll do your individual vision board, or your MRT board, your mental resiliency tip board, but doing it as a family, if doing it as a family, because it could be with your mom or your dad or your sister, brother, whatever the case may be, not just open to the ones with kids, but doing it as a family kind of helps with breaking the norm and breaking the cycle, because that's the biggest thing, is a lot of times we get stuck in a cycle that this dilemma is out there, that this is bad and we shouldn't be talking about it, but in today's world, especially with cyberbullying and all of that stuff, it is real, and it's one of those things that we really, really need to focus on, especially if you're on Facebook. And it's easy for people to be like, well, you should just get off of Facebook then, right? But Facebook brings another level of happiness to you, but can also bring some depression to you, because you're looking at something and you see someone being perfect, or what you perceive to be perfect, or being amazing, and then not knowing what is going on behind closed doors. So it's like the iceberg analogy. So making it a family effort and figuring out how to best do things together as a family, I think that'll help big time with breaking the cycle.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a really, 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 really great one. And
she's trying.
I'm trying. I'm trying. We're gonna be resilient today. We're gonna practice what we were preaching right now. But yes, so yeah, those are. I like the family activity and making it collective, so it doesn't seem abnormal. It doesn't seem something outside the norm. Again, us breaking the stigma around mental health, and that it's not a bad thing, and it doesn't make you crazy. It just makes you more human to be open and vulnerable about what's going on in your world, so you can be better, every day. And so,
it breaks those family cycles. The family secrets.
Yes,
a lot of families have a lot of secrets that breaks those secrets too. Yeah. With building a foundation of trust, so people know that they can at least talk to
each other, and that's the main thing, is communication and talking it through. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for us, I think.
Yes. So remember the challenge when someone says, hey, how you doing? Be honest, even if it's just, hey, I'm not having the best day, but I'll get through it. Or if you're asking someone, how are you doing? Pause for a second and actually look at them in their eyes and ask them how they're doing it. So make sure that when you're doing it, it is genuine. So your challenge is asking someone how they're doing, but also pausing and responding in an honest way.
Yes, so, and also checking in with other people. Yes. You see someone who's commonly by themselves, just check in, how you doing? Also send a positive message. Let's get lunch. Definitely check in with someone. And also, you also be intentional about reaching out to people who often reach out to you as well, because that's my challenge too. Right. So I believe that's everything. I'm still trying to figure out
And Justina, we're going to have her at the ball, so look forward to pictures tonight.
Yes. And I want to just thank everyone for joining in and listening to our experiences and the mental health resiliency tips. And hopefully it'll be something that'll be beneficial for your lives. We're hoping to try to do this again. Just to say yes, send pics. And if you haven't read it already, she has a book out, so please go and buy her book. It's called Faceless Closure, Healing Begins from Within. And it is my personal journey to healing, internal healing, from an introspective perspective. Right. So yes, definitely check it out, and how I use the arts and my faith to strengthen my mental health.
We keep flipping and they're going the wrong way.
And no, it keeps going the wrong way. But yes, so it's about healing begins. It's called Faceless Closure, Healing Begins from Within. And it's about my personal journey to healing, and how I use the arts, my Christian faith, in introspection to find healing, and from a holistic perspective, my mind, soul, and body. So definitely check it out. Also, Betty is the founder of
Fostering Future Leaders, and the goal of Fostering Future Leaders is to create more leaders in the community. So when I say leaders, we're talking influencing your community in a good and a positive way, giving back to the kids and making sure that they understand that everything that they do has consequences, good or bad. Consequences is not just a bad word, but giving back to the community in the positive way, the most positive way possible. Yes. So thanks again for checking in.
Yes.
Thanks, Justina, for sticking with us this whole time. Where did he go?
Yeah, Dwayne.
Dwayne, I hope you're still there with us. We're still working on our camera issues.
Yes,
but
being resilient.
Thanks again for checking in. We truly appreciate it. If y'all have any questions or comments, we will answer them to the best of our ability. If we don't know, we will tell you that we don't know, because we're not going to lie to you. Mm-hmm. And we'll just point you in the right direction if we have the direction for you.
Yes.
So thanks again.
Thanks again. See you next time. Thanks for joining.